evening. Welcome to our upper school course registration night. Welcome to our current 8th graders who will be making the trip past the library, down the sidewalk into North Hall next year. And welcome to our newest Bullis families as well. We're very excited to have you in our community. We have a number of topics to discuss tonight, so I wanted to go ahead and get started. My name is Bobby Policino. For those of you who don't know me, I am the upper school principal. This is my 4th year in the role as principal. It's my 15th year at Bullis. I have also served as our varsity boys lacrosse coach, our assistant lacrosse coach, assistant varsity soccer coach. Go ahead. I'm also an advisor. I've taught environmental science, I've taught biology. I'm currently teaching a leadership class in our entrepreneurship program. So I've certainly worn a variety of hats in the community in my time here, and I'm happy to answer questions you have this evening, as well as throughout your child's time here at Bullis. Our goal for the evening is to introduce you to the upper school community, whether you are new or have been here. We want to talk about the upper school schedule, which looks similar, but is different than our middle school schedule, or I'm sure different than the schedule you're currently experiencing at your other school. We want you to be comfortable with the transition. So we're going to also introduce our 2 assistant principals, Ms. Kira Orr, who's our 9th and 10th grade assistant principal, and Mr. Brandon Bailey, our 11th and 12th grade assistant principal. We're also going to hear from Marge Doherty, our assistant principal for academics, who is going to do the bulk of tonight's presentation, talking about the course registration process. And then we're also going to hear from Ms. Darlene Haught, who is going to talk to us about our online programs that we offer here at Bullis. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our assistant principals.
Good evening. Some of you may recognize me from the New Admitted Families Night not too long ago. Some of you may recognize me from just being around campus. My name is Brandon Bailey. This is my 2nd year of Bullis. I have the fortune of being sandwiched between 2 people that have worn an enormous number of hats here at Bullis, between Mr. Policino and Ms. Orr. I started my Bullis career last year as an upper school assistant principal. In that time, I've also served as an English 4 teacher, currently serve as an Honors English 2 teacher. I'm serving as an advisor this year, and then in the winter of this year, I was called into service to coach JV and varsity ice hockey. So as you can see, it's very common for people around Bullis to wear a variety of different hats. One of the first things we're going to talk to you about is the daily schedule. It is a 7-block rotating schedule. The study halls are built in, and so you may not initially see them on your schedule, but they will be there. All right. With the schedule, it's going to offer flexible enrichment blocks, and so with that, we've actually made a change from last year to this year. Our enrichment blocks used to come inside of the schedule. Now they come at the end of the day on Tuesday and Thursday. Part of the reason for that is when we get into our league schedule for boys and girls athletics, we had students that were missing class. So instead of them missing class, they're missing the enrichment time. What we've tried to do with the enrichment is preserve 1 enrichment period a week for student study hall, another enrichment period for the use of student programming. So if we have a guest speaker come in, if we're going to do something like in May, we'll have a maker fair. That opportunity will take place in that time. We do have 2 lunches. Our lunch blocks are set Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They will occur between 11:30 and 12:30. On Tuesday and Thursday, our long block classes fall in there, and you'll see in the schedule in a moment. So what that does is that stretches out our lunch period a little bit with about a 50-minute gap between the 2 lunches. You'll also notice that one of the things that is often talked about in the transition from 8th grade to Bullis to 9th grade is that our day is a little bit longer. And so for us here, we'll begin athletics at 3:30. We have extra instruction every day from 2:55 until 3:20. And so the opportunity for students to go back and re-engage with teachers or visit with somebody that may help them with research is present every single day. This is our schedule. For those of you that have never seen a rotating schedule, this may seem like an incredibly big challenge. I can assure you that students find a rhythm very quickly. We operate on 2 weeks, a gold week and a blue week. We will have a different rhythm to each of those weeks. These schedules are posted all over the school, and both the faculty and staff are very patient with students getting into the rhythm of the calendar and the schedule for the week. I'm not sure where my pointer is. I got it. All right. So you'll see here, we have time blocked out every day for community time. We have our all-school assembly here. We have advisory periods on Tuesday and on Friday. We'll talk about them in a little bit. Wednesday, we have class meeting or club meeting time. And then on Thursday, we have our own upper school assembly. That time is preserved. And with that, that's time for our students and our faculty to come together. We'll talk about the different programs with advisory and some of the student-led programs such as the clubs here momentarily. If you can tell from where you're sitting, you'll notice this block here on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is a little shorter. Tuesday and Thursday is the longer lunches. That's because on Tuesdays and Thursdays we have our longer block classes there. That's part of the natural rhythm of the Bullis schedule. As I mentioned, we have 2 enrichment blocks a week. Tuesday is typically our student study hall, and Thursday is our student programming day. If we don't have any programming set, then the students have the opportunity to have another study hall. So your student may have 2 study halls in the same day on a Tuesday or Thursday. Also, please note down here, both for parents and students, and this is extremely important. We build time into the schedule every day between the end of the day at 2:55 and the beginning of athletics for you to go visit with teachers. Please take advantage of that time. I see more students visiting here than I have anywhere else. And I've worked in a variety of different schools. As far as advisory, it's our social, emotional, and connectedness period that occurs twice a week. The idea with the advisor is in 9th grade, you will be grouped with somebody. Their students are grouped by gender. You will be grouped hopefully with somebody that has a strength in an area where you have a strength. So for example, as I've sat down over the course of the past 2 years to work on assigning 9th grade advisors, if your student is going to come in and honors algebra 2, I'm going to try to place him with a math teacher. If your student is going to come in taking French 3, I'm going to try to find a foreign languages teacher. If not, very specifically a French teacher. Okay? So as we are able to navigate that, we try to match 9th grade advisors and 9th grade advisees to people with their strengths. In 10th graders, typically there will be people that are, the 10th grade advisor will be 10th grade teachers. We do have certain exceptions, and we try to work on that in an annual basis to reevaluate the program to see where we are. In 9th grade, students get the opportunity to choose their advisor. So 9th, 10th, and 11th graders will have the opportunity to choose or at least make a series of choices for who their advisor is in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. 9th grade they're assigned, and so with that in 10th grade, they will have the opportunity to find somebody that they feel they may have a personal connection with. 11th and 12th grade students are mixed for a couple of reasons. One is it's important for students to realize those that are going through the college process so that the juniors can watch the seniors go through that process, and the juniors will also pick up with the beginning of their college counseling process in their junior year. So that intertwining not only obviously gives you the stronger social emotional connection with students that are going through some similar things, driving, curfews, things that are a little bit more mature, but also a very practical sense too. The goal is there to foster connection. The idea with the advisor is the student wants to connect with at least one more person on campus that they can speak to, that can advocate for that student, that can go to bat for them, that student can find to have a conversation with, to figure things out with, or just to lean on or have a good conversation with. It's also a safe space for your student, which is it's important. As far as the daily uniform goes, we're currently working with Mrs. Pam Bass, who runs our school store, to bring in some options. The idea here is it's there to reduce the comparisons that oftentimes come, right? Not to mention the fact that the uniform here at Bullis is a long-standing tradition, all right? And so with that, there are many different options while inside of the uniform, all right? And so those will be published in the handbook, as well as any updates that come through from the school tour. Later in the year, there will be a Bulldog uniform rescue, where we take some of the donated materials, the donated shirts and pants, and the students here run an organization that sells those at a reduced cost. And it's a great opportunity to pick up some stuff, especially for those of you that have growing children. All right, being a parent of 3 myself, I know how quickly kids grow, so take advantage of that. New this year, they're also going to have the opportunity for spirit wear. When kids graduate from Bullis, they have a ton of stuff, and that stuff now can be picked up for your students for those blue and gold days, or a Friday night game, or Saturday or Sunday event. All right, so with student involvement, the quote there at the top, I won't read it to you, is very true. The more you give this place, the better you're going to feel about it, all right? Because you're going to receive things back in ways you can't comprehend and begin to conceive yet. We have a great community with great kids and great adults that really covers a variety of different topics. It's not just academic, it's not just athletic, it's not just artistic. It's really comes together here in a way like I've never seen. Leadership opportunities are wide and varied here. You can be everything from a peer mentor to a student government representative. You can serve on the conduct review board, be a student tutor. We have an incredible student tutors program. There are tons of opportunities for you to become a leader and for you to become involved. As far as clubs go, clubs here are student generated and student run. They are not adult generated or adult run. If you have an idea, you bring it to me, Ms. Orr, Mrs. Hosmer, and we talk and we see, is there a spot on campus for this? If it's something we want to move through with and it's something that you're really passionate about, you can begin a club. The Philosophy and Oracle Club was just a thought last year. Now it's a reality with over 25 members. And so that happened very much in the speed of a trimester. Just a couple of students that had a class where they were talking about philosophical elements, and now they have a club where they can get together every second or third Wednesday. Community service is one of our clubs here, but it also falls under a much wider umbrella at Bullis. We do not require community service hours, but we routinely have many students exceeding 50 or 100 hours a year. Some of the school, Montgomery County, I think, asked you to complete 75, if I'm not mistaken, in secondary school. We have students that are routinely racking up over 100 a year. The community service club here is strong. The program here is strong. We get together for a few big drives, not to mention the pie bake on the last Saturday before Thanksgiving, which is an incredible event where we'll have about 80 hands, or 80 sets of hands making pies on a Saturday morning, all for the good of our community. We have a robust global studies program here. I myself will be traveling to Finland in June. We have a recurring trip to Cambodia. This year students went to Panama, Ireland, anywhere from the spring. I think Panama and Ireland this spring. France, in our French exchange with Lycée Saint Joseph in France. So we have a lot of great opportunities for students to travel abroad, to experience the world, and really bring back their understanding of what it means to be a global citizen. All right. Thank you for your time. I'll now pass it off to Ms. Kira Orr, class of.
Good evening. Mr. Bailey's going to Warriors, Finland. I'm going to Stanton, Virginia. Got to talk about that somewhere. My name is Kira Orr. I am an actual graduate of Bullis from high school, class of '93. Many of you already know me because I served as the middle school assistant principal for many years, but this year made the transition into the upper school assistant position role, grades 9 and 10. I have worn many hats here. I won't bore you with all those. I've spent half my life here. Let's just say I have a PhD in Bullis. All right, so, but the beauty and one of the things that's great about me in the role as the 9-10 assistant principal is I also actually still teach in the middle school currently, and that continues. I teach 8th grade, so several of the students I still see in my classes, and that helps with that transition. Also, once they come in, my office is located right where all the freshman lockers are, and I'm very accessible, very visible. Sorry, guys, students. Anything, so it's actually great, so it's worked well. I'm here to talk a little bit just about some of the activity requirements that we have here. Those of you that are coming from the middle school, you know you have athletics built into your school day, and you are absolutely required to do something each trimester. It is a little bit different here, and once you get to upper school, and for those who are new to Bullis, as you will see, we want all 9th grade and 10th graders to do at least 2 after-school activities a year, okay? And in the fall, you have to do something. All 9th graders have to do something in the fall. That helps with us getting them acclimated into the community, making those connections, and also getting some of those requirements out of the way earlier, all right? You certainly don't have to, if it's gonna do some kind of sport, you don't have to be, considering you wanna go pro, you could be a novice. We still have levels. We try as much as we can to not cut. We want you to have those experiences and make those connections, as I say. One has to be an athletic option though, okay? So that means, for instance, you may choose to do only 2 activities next year. Of those 2 activities, one would have to be a sport and the other would have to be something else, and one must be in the fall. So all of your children will be doing a fall activity. Please note that fall sports do come with preseason, which means there are practices prior to the start of the school year. That's when there are tryouts and such, all right? And so that information will be coming to you, but so we ask that you plan accordingly. Once you get to 11th and 12th, you get a little more options. That you can do don't have to do 2 after-school activities, but you can choose from anything. Okay, so once those sports are out of the way, then you don't have to do any more if you're not into it. We recognize not everybody's into sports. For those of you who are returning students, you have way more options than you did in middle school in terms of non-athletic activities. Yearbook, community service. So there are some other things that you can do besides sports, where we're a lot more sport heavy than middle school, all right? If you want to know what some of those activities are, you can check the website, all right, and you'll see the long list of things. There you go. We're going to talk about some of these fall ones, so you guys can get a drop. Cross country, field hockey, which is for girls, you see soccer, girls tennis, we do have boys tennis, by the way, but that's in the spring. Boys football, there is crew. Volleyball, you can manage. We have actually an amazing management program that our sports information director, Mr. Joe Teets, runs. So if you love sports, you're into sports, you want to still be involved but not necessarily play, managing might be the option for you. And also dance. Other activities that we have, you can see there on the right, which would be 1-act, that's for you theater folks. Tech crew, if you like to be behind the scenes. Yearbook, and then again, scoreboard. The video scoreboard and stuff, that's cool. Again, that's also through Mr. Teets and Mr. Riffy. So for those of you that are really wanting to be a part of the production of some of the things behind the scenes in terms of filming, taking stats and such. All right. That's it for me. Welcome to Bullis. Looking forward to seeing all you guys next year.
Darty, and I am the Assistant Principal of Academics, and I have the honor of having the most slides this evening because I am going to help you with your schedules. So, if you would go into your packets, if you aren't already there, you will see a course selection sheet. Please do not lose this because I need it so that I can build your child's schedule. If you are a returning student, your recommendations are already on it. If you are a new student and you have done your placement testing, you already have some of your recommendations listed on the sheet as well, on a second sheet. It's not actually on the course selection sheet. Now, what's important for us to understand is that for all of you, there is no perfect schedule. There is only a perfect schedule for your child. Okay? And that will be different for every single child in this room. And so what you have to really take into consideration is, number one, the recommendations that have been made for you. Those recommendations are based on grades, yes, but they're also based on teacher recommendations, and they're also based on the program that your child is going into in the upper school. Because as we know, there are differences between middle school and upper school. And upper school is supposed to be more challenging, just like college will be more challenging. And so all of these things are being taken into consideration when those recommendations are made. One mistake that I've seen over and over again is for people who do not follow the recommendations and they push to go to the higher level, and then I have to move them back to where they were recommended to be once the trimester has already started. And once you're making all of these adjustments, to have to make those adjustments again, it's not easy on your child. So please keep those recommendations in mind. And if you would like to have conversations about them, we can certainly do that. Okay? But again, we need to keep in mind the overall program of your child and all of the different transitions that they're going through as a new student and as a new ninth grader. All right? In addition, we want to think about what are your child's interests. Because especially as a ninth grader, they can still do a lot of exploring before they have to make a commitment to a particular type of study. They certainly have tons of options in the upper school. We have over 150 classes for them to select from. And once they get into the upper grades, they'll have over 20 AP courses to select from. So we have a lot of different options, and there's no rush to get into those honors and AP classes. There's time for them to come in as a ninth grader, take a solid schedule, get good solid grades, feel confident in themselves, and then they can move on to the higher levels as they are ready to do. Okay? So these are some very important things that we need to take into consideration. All right. So one thing we really have to concentrate on is that they graduate. And so these are the things that they need to do in order to graduate from Bullis. Okay? So they must have 4 years of English. They need 3 years of math, 3 years of science, 3 years of social studies. They need 2 years of foreign language to graduate from Bullis. However, we recommend that they take 3 because many colleges require 3. Okay? And again, as we go through the years, we can certainly make recommendations based on your child's interests and strengths. They need to take 1 full credit of art. As a ninth grader, you need to take at least 1 trimester of art. Okay? You can take a full year of art and then you can be done. Or you can certainly continue on with our program. You can take 1 trimester as a freshman, 1 trimester as a sophomore, 1 as a junior. You can mix it up, or again, take 1 full year and then finish. All right? You need to take 1 trimester of health, and again, I recommend that you take that either in the 9th grade or in the 10th grade. Okay? So that, again, as more and more classes become open to you, that you can certainly take those classes. And then you have your physical education requirements, which are completed through your extracurricular activities. So this is a sample sheet that you have in your packet, and I filled it out. This child was recommended for 4 honors classes, okay? 4 honors classes as a 9th grader. This child made a decision. That's going to be too much for me. So select an Honors English 1 and Honors Algebra 2. All 9th graders have to take Human Geography. There's no option there, okay? Foreign Language, Honors French 3. Now this child was recommended to take, based on his math placement, okay? He was recommended to take Honors Chemistry. However, our progression is this: Earth Science, Biology, Chemistry, Physics. So because his math is already above average for 9th grade, his science placement therefore is as well. So he certainly can take Honors Chemistry because he'll have the math that he needs to take the class. However, this child decided, no, I want to be in biology, and then I want to progress through like everybody else is. Okay? And so he opted to take the class that was the predecessor to chemistry. All right? So these are some options that you will have, at least in your science selection. And again, if you need advice on that, we certainly will be willing to help you with it. And I'll get into the class specifications a little bit later. One other thing that you need to note is that when you look at your electives, what happened? Sorry. Sorry. When you're looking at electives, and this is again where you have to make some decisions. If you notice under foreign language it says visual and performing arts. If your child is going to do a full year of art, you would fill in that blank. That gives your child 6 full credits and he or she is done. Okay? You wouldn't fill in anything in the trimester section except for study halls. If, however, you would like your child not to do a full year, or he chooses not to do a full year of art, he can instead pick 3 different trimester classes. And that's what goes in the blanks where it says electives. Okay? Now what I need you to do and think about is, if you are a 9th grader coming in, you are low man on the totem pole. All right? Seniors get first dibs. That's just the way it is when it comes to electives. All right, you still have 3 more years to get those classes. My seniors have 1, so I give them first priority. All right, so this is why if you pick an elective such as sound design and programming, you need to have a backup plan, because if that class fills up, I need to have a second slot to put you into. Okay, I will tell you right now, if you look at something like Digital Media 1 and that's your first priority, good luck. All right? When you're thinking about your draft picks, don't waste your draft pick if you're not getting it. All right? This is a very popular class, and our seniors are going to take it. Okay? And our upperclassmen will probably take it. You might luck out, but I can't guarantee it. All right, so again, you want to look at your electives. Now, this child also has decided for 1 trimester, I'm going to give up my study hall because I want to get my health requirement done. Okay? And so in the winter, when this child is not doing an after-school activity, because remember, they only have to do them 2 out of 3 trimesters, winter is the time that he's off, he's going to take health, he's not going to have a study hall, and he's going to get that credit done. Okay? And so in this particular case, he will have 2 of his 3 credit trimesters for art done. His health requirement will be done, and Making for Social Good is a technology class. And so he's not sure if that's something that he's interested in or not, and so he's going to try it out. So that they're getting a little bit of the tech, the STEM experience, as well as finishing some art credits and getting the health done. Okay? So these are some different things that you want to take into consideration. So at this time, if you are a new student and you are in 10th, 11th, or 12th grade, I'm going to have you go with Ms. Kittle, who is our Director of College Counseling, and she's going to be able to give you specific advice for your particular grade level. So
we're heading out this way.
All right. So anybody 10th, 11th, or 12th grade, if you're a new 10th, 11th, or 12th grader. Everybody else should be 9th grade. Yeah, no, we mixed everybody in. All right. Are there any questions about how to fill this sheet out? Because I know sometimes when you go home and you're all alone and then you think, well, wait, what did she say? One positive thing is that I've learned through the years that it's important that we record this presentation, which we are doing right now, and it will be sent to you probably tomorrow afternoon. Okay, so if you miss anything, you'll be able to refer back to it. All right, so any questions about this before we move on? All right, so very quickly, here are options for English, and this is going to take you through the next 4 years. Okay? So in 9th grade, you have 2 options. You have our thematic class, which is Universal Voices, or you can take the honors version of that if you have been recommended for the honors. Okay? 10th grade follows suit. Just to let you know that when you do get into the 11th grade, you will have 1 additional option. You have the on-level American Visions, you have AP Language, or you have our Advanced Humanities Seminar. That means if you've been recommended for AP Language and AP US History, you can take those 2 classes combined. It's a double block, 2 teachers teaching simultaneously in the same classroom. Okay, so that's something to look forward to in your junior year. We also have some things that will open up to you when you become sophomores: journalism and public speaking. Social studies. Everybody takes human geography. It's a common experience for every 9th grader, so you don't have to make any decisions about that. The following year, you get your first option for an AP course, and that's AP World History or Global Studies. Okay, global history. And then these are all the other additional classes. Everybody has to take US history in their junior year, all right, whether it's regular US history or AP US history, but we have several other options as well. Foreign language, again, this is all based on placement. Many of you have already taken your placement tests, okay? So please, again, follow those recommendations. And if you decide to do your 2 years of one particular language and then you don't want to do that one anymore, but you want to switch to a different one, you certainly can opt for that. But remember, the requirement is 2 years of the same language, and those years must be consecutive. And we do recommend 3 years consecutively. Okay? And what you did in middle school for us does not count. Okay? It does not go on your transcript. All right? Math, here are your options, and again, that's based on your placement. If you want to be in an honors level course, you do need to take a placement test for if you're a new student coming in, and many of you did that this past Saturday with me, okay? And if you haven't scheduled that, I'll give you more information about it at the end. All right, so these are the math options. As I said earlier, our science placement is based on your math. So if you are going into Algebra 1 next year, easy. You're taking Earth Science. That's your option, okay? If you're going to be in geometry or honors geometry, you will be in either biology or honors biology. However, you can opt for Earth Science as well. Okay, so there's some choice. If you have been recommended for, or you're going into Algebra 2 or Honors Algebra 2, you can go right into chemistry because you have the math that you need to do well in that class. However, as I said before, you can opt to go into biology instead, or Earth Science if you would prefer, okay? And one thing to think about if you're an athlete, all of these classes are NCAA approved. Okay, meaning that you can use them as part of your NCAA evaluation process, okay? And then we can move into physics once you're in the calculus or, the pre-calculus or honors functions. One new class that we're offering next year is the AP Physics 1. You do not need to have any prior physics experience to take that class. However, you need to be in at least pre-calculus to take it. Okay? And then these are our other options. We do have options down at the bottom that are not AP, but they're full year classes. And of those, 3 out of the 5 are NCAA approved. The 2 that are not would be food science and kinesiology. You can still take those classes, but you would have to use other classes to count for that. And we also do have some trimester electives as well for science. So there's a lot of variety in our science program. All right, for visual arts, you've got a lot of decisions to make. Again, the recommendation is that you take a full credit of art your freshman year, but at least a trimester your freshman year. And so these are the courses that you can select from. Notice the intro classes, intro to acting, intro to theatrical production, and intro to dance. Those classes are primarily for freshmen. So a lot of your classes are not going to be grade specific like you're used to in 8th grade where everybody is an 8th grader. Now you're going to have 10th graders, 11th graders, perhaps even a senior in your class. But those intro classes are very freshman specific. So that might be a nice option for you. You've got painting, drawing, and sculpture, and of course your health. For the year-long options, you do need to either do an audition or to submit a portfolio for the visual arts program. Okay? And these are our different, I'm going to actually skip this because that's not our grade. All right, lastly, we do have our tech and engineering options. We just opened these up to 9th graders last year, so you guys are coming in at a great time, okay? Sound design and programming can count as art or as a tech class, depending. That's one of our classes that's taught by 2 different teachers in 2 different departments. Maker Lab will teach you the different tools that you can use, and you'll do certain projects in our makerspace. And then Making for Good is very similar, however, there's a thematic focus to it that everything that you're making is for some kind of social contribution, okay? And then we have our tech classes, which are the mobile app development, which is a blended learning class, which means that some days you're face-to-face with the teacher, and some days you're working on your own independently in the library on your computer, all right? If you're a person that who learns well that way, that's a great option. If that doesn't suit your learning style, then you may want to do something different. And then the digital media, which again is a tough draft pick. Okay. Any questions about any of the courses? Yes, ma'am.
String ensemble an option for 9th grade.
It is, and is it missing from the list? I'm so sorry. Especially since that's coming from our strings teacher. My apologies. Yes.
Just a clarification. So I know you said that they could take a full, like a year-long class for the visual and performing arts, but if can they also get the full year credit? They take 3 different trimesters
Yep.
of something.
If they take 3 art
3
classes,
art classes.
then that can count. That counts. That's the equivalent.
The year credit. It doesn't have to be the year long.
Correct. Correct.
Thank you.
It just has to add up to a year.
Perfect.
So, and again, if they want to do 2 art classes and then take health, 3rd trimester, and one thing I don't really recommend, and I actually kind of cut it off your options, I don't recommend that freshmen take health 1st trimester because they're adjusting to so many things and they all have to do an extracurricular in the fall. And to put another academic class on top of the 5 that they're doing, you know, it's not always the best fit. So usually I recommend that they take it in the winter or the spring. And a lot of our upperclassmen will take it in the fall because they need to get it over with. Okay? So you can certainly do it, but it's not something that I would recommend. Okay? Any other questions about course selection? Oh,
I'm sorry, if you're going to do an AP language class, or take AP test, what level does that come out?
so mostly 9th graders were not going to be involved in AP. As a sophomore, you do have the option, if you're recommended for it, to take the AP World. Very rarely we have somebody going into an AP Science or an AP Math. And then the tests are always in the first 2 weeks in May.
My bad, I meant
Foreign language to take the test. Oh, for the placement. So placement testing, if you haven't already done so, we had a session this Saturday, and I appreciate a lot of you that were able to make it. I had some students staying after today, but you need to contact Mrs. Ferrara, and she'll set up a time for students to come in. So anybody who is above level 1, even if you're going into level 2, you still need to take a placement test. So we can judge really is level 2 the best for you? Should you be in level 3, level 1 again? I don't know. Okay. So yeah, if you can contact her, I think her information's in the packet. Okay. Any others? Any other questions? All right. If you are a returning family, hopefully you have signed up to meet with me or Ms. Beckman, my partner in crime when it comes to scheduling, next week after parent-teacher conferences, okay? Because that's when you will bring this sheet to us and you will finalize your child's course selections. Please note, they are selections. They are not their schedule. I still have to build the schedule, all right? But this is what you're hoping that they get, and more than likely they will, most of them, okay? So please have conversations with your child before that time so that we know what they want to do. And if they have been recommended for several honors or honors courses, have the conversation as to whether or not this is really the best schedule for them. And if they want to, ease into it a little bit, there's nothing wrong with that. All right? They don't have to take them just because they've been recommended for them. Okay? If you are a new family and you have questions about the schedule and you'd like to come in and speak with me, then you can call me or call Mrs. Farrar or email me. Actually, it's probably faster, and we can get you in, okay? And we can have conversations. But we do need to have those sheets returned to us. If you need placement information, we can get that for you. We just need to get the placement test completed, okay? Ideally, if we could have everything by the end of this month, that would be fantastic. All right? So, yeah.
So when we're scheduling the parent-teachers conferences, there are 2 slots. Do we have to meet with both of you? or
No, just pick one.
Okay.
Pick one. Yep.
Just making sure.
And I think I only have, I don't know if there's any slots left for either one of us. I think we're booked solid for 2 days. Yes, sir.
Is there academic help for a student who is gifted outside of Bullis, for like dance or acting or some type of other sport? Do you have academic help where they may have to leave, for a couple of days?
We certainly will work, we can work with you if we know beforehand that they have, other commitments, but for the most part, I mean, they're going to have to make up the work, but we would be able to come up with a schedule perhaps to help them do that in a reasonable time. Yeah. So our learning support team usually does help that. And students, if they have to leave, they have to fill out a form and all of their teachers will sign it. And the other thing is that students have access to Haiku, which is where all of their assignments are listed for all of their classes. So no matter where they are, as long as they have internet access, they can get their coursework to try to keep up. Okay? Yes?
How does the GPA work on the classes and classes?
So our honors and AP classes are both weighted with a 5% bump. And those are factored in at the end of the trimester. Anything else? All right, just very quickly, we do have 4 signature programs. If you want to become involved or in a signature program, really 10th grade is when those choices need to be made and we can start getting involved at that time, okay? So we have our entrepreneurial program, and yesterday actually for all of our different signature programs we had our symposium, and it was a wonderful day for us, for our students who have been working, our seniors who have been working to display what they've been doing for their year-long projects. So our entrepreneurial group had their Shark Tank competition where of course the winner won $10,000 towards progressing with their business idea. We also have our HGS program, our Humanities and Global Studies. They did a lot of great TED Talks and some documentaries yesterday. Our STEM program also did some TED Talks as well as demonstrations of their projects. And our VPA program did some wonderful performances for us to start the day off, which was very inspirational for the whole day. So these are things that you can certainly get involved in. And if you have further questions about them, we'll be here to answer them afterward, but I don't want to get too much into it because it's just an overload of information. So I am going to turn this over to Ms. Darlene Hutt. She She is our online coordinator, and she's going to tell you a little bit about our online programs. Okay, one of my slides got deleted, but that's okay. My name's Darlene Hott. I'm very happy to have this opportunity to come and talk with you a little bit about our online learning program. My slide that's missing was explaining about how we kind of got started about 7 years ago, I guess it was. We kind of took a look at what was going on in our classrooms. Educational technology was really starting to develop and emerge in classrooms, and we really wanted to have a focused, structured way of using technology in the classroom that was effective and also that was preparing our students for lifelong learning. You may have heard that term associated with online learning in the past. But we started out by developing several blended courses, and Ms. Doherty referenced one of those a few minutes ago. We have several of those in existence, and if you see a BL notation next to those, that's what that is. It is a course that is designed to be face-to-face, several days a week, but then there would be a companion, what we call virtual class, that is separate. Now that class, though, is a supervised class during the school day. The student can use that time to work on that class, or they can maybe prioritize their time to work on another class. But what we're hoping to develop within the students is that sense of taking charge of their learning, having independence in determining when they want to work on the course, and also whether it's during the school day, during that class period, or whether it's in the evening. And we also think that it helps to prepare our students to learn to prioritize and to take more charge of their learning. So those courses, the blended learning courses, are noted on the sheets. And then we also have taken it now a step further, and we have developed a program, Online Learning at Bullis. These are fully online courses, and they are designed and developed by our own teachers. We have retained an instructional designer. In the past, we have one on board now who is our online learning coordinator. That person works with our teachers to develop online courses that are aligned with national standards. And they are also aligned with the way Bullis does their development and also their teaching of courses. We incorporate those core academic values into all of our courses as well. So they are Bullis courses that are taught by Bullis teachers. The online courses are listed on the goldenrod piece of paper that's in your packet. And I would like to just show you where they are. You'll see here, there's a website. Very easy to find on our website. Just www.bullis.org/online. You can also find it under academics. But you'll see that there is a listing over here on the left side. Now, what I would like to point out to you specifically tonight are some offerings that we have for the summer. We
offered some courses to students during the summer. We have 2 that are offered to rising ninth graders. We do have an online geometry class that's actually a full year of geometry that is taught in 8 weeks. So if you have you're a student who is very strong in math, you want a chance to get ahead, get geometry done so you can move on and take more advanced classes later on. You don't have a whole lot to do this summer, other than maybe spend 6 to 8 hours a day working on geometry. But we've had success with that. And if you have questions about those, but okay. Mr. Doherty can answer questions about that, or you can also email Dr. Nichols, who is the chair of the math department. He also teaches the course. The other 9th grade class, I will point out to you, is another option for that health class. And that is the trimester version of the online public health personal wellness class that's offered in the summer for 6 weeks. And we do have rising 9th graders to take that. That would be approximately 12 to 14 hours for a whole week of work if you have time in your schedule during the summer that you might want to think about this. For upper level courses or courses for our upper level students here, we have personal finance and writing class. Sorry, I'm scrolling around here, but we have an online writing for high school and beyond that is a good refresher on geometry, grammar, and also will give some real tips and some added experience in writing, which is helpful when you're taking the ACT, the SAT, and also writing those college essays. So I wanted to point those out to you. The other classes that we do offer during the school year are listed on the website. They're also listed on the back side of your handout that you just got. One thing I forgot to mention, but it is here, that if you would like to take an online course in the summer, you can register for those right here. These are links where you can go fill in the information and do your registration there. For the school year courses, you register on the sheets that you got. So, but I did want to bring these to your attention. This is a growing program. We have some other courses in the works for next year. And we feel that it's very important. It teaches our students those valuable skills that they need for college. A lot of colleges look on the transcripts of applicants, and if they see a successful grade for an online course at the high school level, they view that as an indicator for success in college because they're independent learners, they are resourceful, can find help on their own, and they're willing to manage their own time, which are sometimes things that students have difficulty doing when they leave high school and they've got a bell schedule that's telling them where to go, what time, and then they go to college and they got to set their alarm and get up and that kind of thing. So they do look at that as an indicator of being successful in college. So my contact info is at the bottom of the sheet there. You are welcome to shoot me any questions if you have any. I'll stick around. Yes?
Yeah, so if students take online course from other resources, not from Bullis website,
It's not for me to decide that, but I'm sure there's
So
a
anytime you
process.
take a course anywhere outside of Bullis, it will never go on a Bullis transcript. We would certainly send it on to a university separate from our transcript, but we don't mix our grades with any other institution's grades. Yep. Yep.
Are there any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Sorry, I have one more thing that I forgot to say. On your course selection sheets, and it lists that one side has all of the options that are available for you that are full year classes, and then the other side has all of the classes that are available, or actually it's at the bottom, the classes that are available by trimester. Please make sure that if you want a class for the fall, that it's actually listed in the fall. All right, because I get these classes, I'm like, wait, we don't even offer this class this trimester. So please make sure you look at the alignments when you're picking your classes for the different trimesters. Okay.
Thank you for being here with us tonight. We understand there may still be a few questions you may have and some specific questions. So we're going to remain behind. Ms. Beckman over there and Ms. Doherty can answer questions about the scheduling process. Ms. Hawk can answer online questions. Ms. Orr is happy to talk about our activity requirements. And for anybody who has questions about the VPA program and whether or not to do auditions or portfolios, we have our Visual Performing Arts Department chair here, Ms. Adams. So if you have questions, stick around, and I'm happy to talk about signature programs. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll be down here for questions.